Yo, what is good, YouTube? Krishan checking back in with another video. So in the first update of the day, you guys are looking at the most recent updates of Nick Walker, who is looking absolutely massive. Now going into this year's Olympia, I've been going back and forth about, is Nick Walker going to move up in placings this year? As you guys know, he won the New York Pro and the Arnold Classic last year, also taking top 5 in his Olympia debut. So you have to think that Nick Walker is going to move up from there. But on the other hand, we are seeing more aesthetic physiques being favored in bodybuilding competitions, so it makes me wonder, is Nick going to move down? In all honesty, I think conditioning is going to play a big factor at this year's Olympia, and if you miss your conditioning by a little bit, you're probably going to be knocked down significantly. And Nick Walker has a great track record of coming in condition, also working back with Matt Jansen. I think Nick Walker's chances for moving up from that 5th place are very possible at this year's Olympia. And switching over to Hunter Labrada, who is also looking unbelievable right now. And if you guys haven't voted on the poll yet, go over to the community section. I put up a poll and I actually said who's going to place the highest at this year's Olympia. And Hunter Labrada actually had the least amount of votes. Now, in all honesty, outside of Big Ramy, Hunter Labrada's physique updates have probably been impressing me the most. Hunter looks absolutely incredible right now. And the only thing I'm worried about is, will Hunter be peaked properly at this year's Mr. Olympia? As you guys know, he is coached by Ben Chow. I'm not sure if Ben was coaching him for last year's Mr. Olympia prep, so this could be their first time working together. Last year, Hunter was still holding a little bit of fat and was also watery. Comparing the physiques of Nick Walker and Hunter Labrada, I could definitely see Hunter beating Nick, but just not with him being that watery that day. So I think the main thing is going to be, can Hunter nail his peak? And also, he hasn't done a show in a year, so I mean, could that work against him and he could have a hard time peaking for this show? Or do you guys think Hunter Labrada is going to bring his best condition ever? But as I give you guys my personal opinion all the time, I do think it's possible for Hunter Labrada to place higher than 4th this year. I'm not predicting that to happen, but it will be a great fight for 2nd place because we do know who will be winning the Olympia title this year. And these are the updates of Big Ramy that was circulating about 2 weeks ago, but I did want to touch on these again. Something that no one mentioned, look at the way Big Ramy executes all of these poses. It seems like to me he's becoming a master of the mandatories. And I'm pretty sure you guys know Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates. I actually believe Ronnie's posing could have been a little bit better, but they were all known for great executions of the mandatory poses. And I feel like Ramy just looks so comfortable hitting all of these shots. And also, Ramy's back seems to be more conditioned now than what it was on last year's Olympia stage. So going into this year's show, I do think we're going to see an all-time best version of Big Ramy. You know, all this talk about Nick Walker, William Bonac, Hunter Labrada, let's actually talk about the champ Big Ramy. But it is scary how Big Ramy is just executing and holding these poses. He's going to be very hard to beat. And you guys are now currently looking at Kalecinski and Terrence Ruffin. And how do you guys think Kalecinski stacks up against him with his front double bicep? I actually think he looks pretty competitive. But we did touch on these updates a couple of days ago, but they were taken from a very weird angle. Kalecinski did drop a full video today of them training together and the full posing. I will leave it in the description below. But has been pretty much training with everyone, as you guys know. And going into this year's show, I do think he's going to be very competitive. One of the most conditioned guys in the division, has some of the best leg development in the entire classic physique division. Actually said he started training legs a little bit less just to help with the proportions because a lot of us were saying that the legs were overpowering. But does look like he's definitely going to come into this year's Olympia bigger. I believe he still had about 10 or 12 pounds to grow into the weight cap. So he should be bigger and hopefully he brings the same conditioning or even better. Now in the next update of the day, you guys are looking at the latest updates of Brett Wilkin. And I do think we're going to see an all-time best Brett at the Romania Pro. Brett went from being the favorite to win this year's Arnold Classic to being a guy who's barely even mentioned, and I don't think Brett's too happy about that. I think he has something to prove. Now switching over to Martin Fitzwater, you guys are looking at updates of him one day after the Arnold Classic UK. Martin said he definitely came in a little bit flat at prejudging, tried to fill up a little bit more for the night show, but really didn't work. But the next day, his legs were hard as nails. And the amount of detail that Martin has from the back of his physique is just unbelievable. As you guys know, I've been mentioning recently, a lot of pros seem to be lacking hamstring detail. 2 other guys with great hamstrings I can think of are Nick Walker and Antoine Vaillant. They also possess a crazy amount of detail from behind. But I'm excited to see Martin's physique in the future. He's only 25 years old. Now switching over to Michal Krizo, these are the most recent updates of him. And the caption of this was time to bring the wow factor. So I'm guessing that Krizo did not bring 100% to the amateur Olympia. And honestly, can we just stop with the percentages? George Farrer started with that with Andrew Jade going into the Texas Pro. But if you're not 100%, just leave it to yourself, man. I'm honestly tired of hearing about the percentages. Just come in your best at every single bodybuilding show. But I'm excited to see Krizo at Prague, however. Now, you guys are looking at updates of Justin Rodriguez one day prior to the Legion Sports Fest. And Justin actually looks a lot better here than what I was seeing in the pictures. But he definitely looks to be downsized than what I'm used to seeing. And going into this year's Olympia, Justin is still going to compete. But overall, unfortunately, as everyone is still saying, Justin probably needs to take a break. You know, he's done so many shows in the past 2 years, but this guy is just so dedicated to the sport. But hopefully George Farrer has his health in check, because that's what matters the most. And switching over to Rafael Brandao, he actually posted this up on his story today. Now, this is not a recent picture before everyone panics and says he looks way off, he still looks soft. This was actually from a few weeks ago. But I did want to talk about Rafa. Hasn't really been talked about in a while. Probably my favorite physique in the open class today. And he is another wild card going into this year's Olympia. Honestly, everyone probably thinks Rafa is going to battle in that third call out for 10 or 15. But is it possible that a guy like Rafa could slip into that top 10? You know, Blessing, you know, Charles Griffin. Is it possible they could sneak into the top 10? Now, I did want to mention Carlos Longoria. If you guys don't remember, I had him in my top 5 going into the Legion Sports Fest, but he actually ended up slipping down to 8th place. It seems like a couple of things went wrong for him. Could have been a little bit more condition. Also, his color does look pretty bad. But this guy has a very bright future, in my opinion. Incredibly wide physique. Now, we do have a recent quad update of Carlos Thomas Jr., our winner of last year's NPC Nationals. Now, Carlos did announce he will be doing the New York Pro next year for his pro debut. Someone announced that he's doing 212, but I would take that with a grain of salt. I'm pretty sure that he's going to compete in the open class. Now, this is a transformation Carlos posted a couple months ago, and he put on 43 pounds from the NPC Nationals to June of this year. Around the time Carlos was competing, he was really reminding me of Nick Walker. You know, he was really hyped up. Also has these crazy arms, crazy quad sweeps. I'm excited to see this guy at the New York Pro next year. Hopefully he starts posting a little bit more too. Now, also making a pro debut at the New York Pro would be Justin Shier. He did turn pro at the same show, but Carlos Thomas actually won the overall. And if you guys are watchers of Fuad Abiyad's podcast, I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with Justin. But I do think he has a very bright future in the sport. And he's also coached by Matt Jansen. As you guys know, Matt does great work with these guys. And also, courtesy of Buys and Tries over on Instagram, I did want to announce to you guys, Jamie the Giant did announce he has no more plans to compete this year. And a lot of people were saying, you know, his physique was starting to decline. But I think out of all of the years Jamie has been competing, this has been the biggest year for him. He's really shown some people that even at 6'5", he can be truly competitive. And hopefully next year Jamie's able to sneak in and win at a show. Now, switching over to 212, Kamal Elgargni posted these up within the past week. Not 100% sure if they're recent or not. Now, going into this year's 212 Olympia, Sean Clarita actually said that he is not confirmed to be competing in the 212 Olympia this year. Sean will let us know in 2 weeks whether he's going to do 212 or open, even though I'm leaning towards he's probably going to do 212. But I'm excited to see the battle at this year's 212 Olympia. The title is up for grabs. Now, also, another guy that's always left out the conversation is Oleh Kryvyi. Oleh was actually 6th in 2020 in the 212 Mr. Olympia. And take a look at this back double bicep. This guy is grainy, dense, comes in very conditioned. I don't see why he can't be in the top 6 this year, you know, maybe even the top 5. We've seen the more shapely guys dominate the regular season, but I do think the more conditioned guys are going to dominate at the Mr. Olympia. Now, ending this video here with a somewhat new segment, we are going to do the gift of the day. Phil Heath is my personal favorite Olympia champion, and for some reason, I feel like he's very underrated and a lot of people don't like him. But you guys let me know which year of Phil Heath is this in the comment section below. As always, I hope you guys did indeed enjoy this video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Krishan from Go Fitness, and that's it. I'm out.